So the first of the men's quarterfinals, Michael Chang against Andrei Medvedev. Chang, the 5th seed, Medvedev, the 13th seed, both playing in the quarterfinals of the Australian Open for the first time and playing each other for only the second time. The previous occasion was at the ATP Tour World Championship in Frankfurt at the end of 1993. And it was Medvedev who won in 3 sets, 2-6, 6-4, 6-2. That, though, of course, on an indoor carpet court. Here we are outdoors, and it's going to be a hot afternoon now for these two gentlemen. Both of them, as you can see, wearing their caps, and Chang with a bandana around his neck. I'm sure it's been soaked in icy water before, and I'm sure he'll probably soak it at the changeovers as well to try and keep himself as cool as possible. But I'm delighted to say that Prue McMillan is alongside me for this first of the men's quarters. How do you see it going, Prue?
Well, I think we've got two very talented players here. Somebody perhaps whose talent is a little better known in Michael Chang, but Andrei Medvedev, I think, is an immense talent, but probably at his best on slower clay courts. Whether he has the pickability to stay in here with Chang, we know all about Chang's determination to win matches.
The umpire Soren Freinel from Germany.
But I'm not sure whether he's got that ability, Medvedev. And if you're not as... well, there are very few people who are as hungry for success as Chang and determined to hang in there. And if you haven't got that determination, you need big shots. Medvedev has got a terrific forehand, a double-handed backhand, which works well very often, but not all the time. He doesn't always throw himself at it. A serve, which is heavy, but generally not consistent enough.
So what you're perhaps suggesting, Prue, is that Chang, in a way, is the safer bet?
Well, I would say so, yes. And Chang said certainly about his preparation for this match that things, after his previous matches, things have really gone well for him. And that he feels in as good a condition starting the second week of a tournament as he has ever been at a Grand Slam event.
Chang's made excellent progress, just dropping a set in the opening round against the young Australian Paul Kilberry. Mind you, the 2 sets to Laras, and I think, as I remember, 5-2 up in the third, and lost concentration, which is most un-Chang-like. Medvedev had to work a little harder in some of his matches, most noticeably, of course, in his last match against David Wheaton, winning 10-8 in the 5th after Wheaton had served for the match 5-4 in the 5th. That's Carl Chang, Michael's brother, and coach, Mr. Andrei Medvedev, split from his coach in Sydney just before these championships began. Brad Stein, the man who for many years was the travelling coach. Jim Courier, that's Alex Strober, one of the physios employed by the IBM ATP Tour. I've heard nothing about Medvedev having an injury after his last match, have you?
No, I didn't. He did fall, I think it was against McEnroe, that he fell rather heavily.
Against
Wheaton, at least.
Yeah.
Wheaton, yes. But certainly no signs after that. He went on to win the match.
Maybe just getting some advice as to how to combat the heat. Quite possible. The tour physio certainly would help the players, give them advice, help them to hydrate themselves before the match starts, how to keep themselves hydrated during the match, what to eat, what to drink. The preliminaries are over. The first of the men's quarterfinals. Michael Chang to serve with Andrei Medvedev. I think we can expect to see a whole host of drooling rallies in this match. Chang has improved his attacking game considerably over the years, but still, of course, basically a baseliner. Six titles he won last year, Michael. Jakarta, Philadelphia, Hong Kong, Atlanta, Cincinnati and Beijing.
Stands very upright. Medvedev almost looks a bit nonchalant.
And that's certainly one aspect of Chang's game that he's improved, the serving. First ace of the match. Make that two. So that's a fine start for the American. He holds the opening service game to 15. We'll take a break and be back with more action from Melbourne right after this. Welcome once again to the first of the men's quarterfinals. Andrei Medvedev to serve to Michael Chang. Mentioned the Chang's titles last year. Medvedev won 2, Monte Carlo and Hamburg, both of course on clay.
Chang a bit of a stickler, waiting until the ball boy got back right in position before allowing Medvedev to serve.
He hits that backhand, double-handed backhand comparatively flat, doesn't he, Medvedev?
Yes.
So less margin of error. Chang tends to loop his a bit more.
Yes, both of them not totally at ease with the shot, which sounds strange, but I suppose what I'm saying is that they're not without error on it, better on their forehand side.
There aren't going to be many easy points out there. going to have to be worked for.
Well, on the evidence of the first few rallies in these two games, it seems to me that Medvedev is doing quite a lot more running about than Chang, not using his weight of shot.
Break point. Not the start the Ukrainian would have wanted. Though, calling him a Ukrainian, living of course in Kiev, born there, as well as having a home in Germany, but he's actually an ethnic Russian, Medvedev, and he's actually said that he would like to play Davis Cup for Russia, but I don't think there's any chance of that because he's played Davis Cup for the Ukraine, and I don't think the International Tennis Federation will allow him to transfer, as it were.
No, not unless he marries and sets up residence there.
Oh, that's a nice touch.
Well, Medvedev's got quite a bit of flair, perhaps more so than Chang, and that certainly illustrates it.
Correction from Stefan Freinel. Ordering a let to be played.
Yes, you were saying Chang can give the ball a pretty good clip on his serve. Tends quite wisely to go for aces a lot more down the middle, where the net is shorter. He's not particularly tall at 5'9".
Typical Macmillan understatement, if I may say. He's positively minuscule, isn't he, by modern standards. His opponent's 6'4". Still bang down the aces, though. A third. Loves the target. Thinking through that last year Andrei Medvedev missed the championships because he was having wrist surgery. He's had back problems as well. Does it augur all that well for his future career? I mean, he's only 20 years of age now. If he's having all these problems so soon.
Yes, some people are just more injury prone, and it seems to me that even as I watch Medvedev serve, and I've said so, that he puts an undue strain on his back. He is one of these very heavily built people, and not only strain on the back really as he serves, but also there must be a tremendous amount of strain on the legs. And of course the knees generally are the crucial area for tennis players. It's where they often go for heavily built people. Chang, a rubber ball, he tends to bounce around comparatively.
It is amazing how the average height of tennis players has shot up in the Open era. I think when Open tennis began in 1968, the average height of the top 20 was 5'10", 5'11". Now it's 6'2", 6'3". Medvedev serving. Love 3 needs to get going.
15.
First ace for Medvedev.
He hasn't got a lovely free-flowing action because he doesn't take the racket all the way under and around. He sort of stops and then brings it up rather abruptly there.
Yes, I was wondering if Chang might go off on one of his amazing gets.
14 seconds. While a second look at the Medvedev flare, never an easy shot, and yet so well in control of it at all times.
Second double fault from Medvedev. Medvedev opens his account.
Yes, and he seems to be prepared to stay out there for a long time, Medvedev. Certainly much more in control of the rallies in that particular game. But generally, I wouldn't have thought that particularly wise against Chang on a very hot day.
Well, a couple of unfamiliar errors, really, from Chang. Missed the consistency. Opened the door a little for Medvedev. Ooh, another overrule by Soren Final. No call from the sideline judge, pointing to the mark, and Michael clearly convinced.
Yes, Chang can look daggers too. Well, these are the sort of rallies I expect Medvedev to have to play more of if he's to win this match. Try and use the weight that he has.
3 breakback points.
Chang puts a lot more body, arm, legs, everything into his backhand. Medvedev very often just a little too stationary. Momentum really should be carrying him forward just a little more.
No, that's a fine shot. He had some momentum in that backhand. And Medvedev breaks back. And Chang, having led 3-love, now only leads 3-2. Gorgeous day, day 9 of the Ford Australian Open, the first day of the quarterfinals, already through to the women's semis. Mary Pierce, the first winner over Natasha Zvereva. She's playing either Conchita Martinez or Zidane. Medvedev serving 2-3, having broken back against Chang.
Important point this for Medvedev to win, because he's thrown just about everything into it. A lot of pace, a lot of power, a lot of pulling Chang wide. But have been disheartened to have lost it.
And it's a brave tactic to drop shot Chang. You have to execute the shot to perfection.
Well, the way Medvedev's been playing much of this match, it looks as if he's out to tire Chang.
Chang convinced the ball on his baseline was out. You know, you mentioning the point about tiring out Chang, that looks good to me. I don't think I've ever seen him tired in a match. I remember that wonderful match against Ivan Lendl when he won the French in '89 and he got cramp and still managed to win in 5 sets. Yeah, another overrule, but as Drew was saying, definitely wide. Chang fairly feisty out there today. His first double fault. Standing his corner against the German umpire, one of the new officials employed by the ITF following the final.
Well, of course, a good means of combating after a game in which Medvedev really showed all his talent, a mixture of subtleties and power in a swift love game. Shot. Soften him up with a high loopy one, as he does here, Medvedev, and then quickly onto the attack with the variation in pace.
The break point to win a fourth successive game. Well, he had a chance there, and Chang in particular was a sucker for a lob.
Yes, we could only have this one again, because Chang totally committed, and that's a good thing to do, really. Get as close as you can until the opposition realizes it.
Typical Medvedev response to the line judge. He's never lost for a word or two, Andrei. His press conferences after matches can be absolutely riveting stuff. Advantage, Chang. Played, draw them in and then gently past them.
Yes, reminds me a bit of a bird in South Africa that hangs up its prey on a barbed wire fence and eats it later on. And the real clay court talent there.
That's a nice topic of conversation. Does this bird have a name?
The butcher bird.
Second double fault from Chang. Gives Medvedev a second break point. And Medvedev making his opponent wait.
Or if you want to be a bit more ornithological, the fiscal shrike.
I'll take your word for it.
Just long in the volley.
Well, Medvedev convinced he's had another bad call, but no bleep from Cyclops. And I don't think it was that far long to have avoided the machine's range. Medvedev may rue that game. 2 break points he had. At the moment, the games seem to be going in threes. Chang won the first 3, Medvedev the next 3. Now what's going to happen? 4-3 to Chang in the opening set. 3-4 on serve in the first set. 1 break of serve apiece. Does possess a lovely, gentle touch, Medvedev.
Yes, and the balls look a bit easier to see it because they're new balls. And he's certainly seeing it well.
Chang had outread him in the little chess-like exchange.
15-all. Yes, I said this before, but it's important to bear in mind when there is an obvious shot to play, you've really got to go for it, because even if Chang had moved across, he would have got to the Medvedev shot down the line. 13-15.
Ace number 2 for Andrei Medvedev. I suppose the one thing about going down the line from that angle is you're going very much over the high part of the net.
14-15.
I know 1 or 2 people occasionally say, what are you rabbiting on about the high part of the net? 6-inch difference in height at those posts at either side. In the net at the middle, you can see there how it lowers in the centre.
Game, Medvedev.
So for the first time in the match, a run of 3 games with the serve, and we're dead level. Melbourne skyline in the distance. The idea of just how close to the city centre Flinders Park is. Most accessible of the 4 Grand Slams.
Love 15.
4 doubles. beg your pardon, 3. But he seems to have lost his early momentum here, Chang, and certainly his early consistency.
Yes, whether this chap's running him around is tiring him out, but early yet I would have thought for that. 52-13.
And he really did have the opportunity of turning defence into attack.
Chang.
True, we were mentioning a little earlier that Andrei Medvedev has just slipped from Chang trying to break off, getting treatment from Todd Schneider. Looks like in a thigh, does it? Or
Looks like upper thigh,
yeah.
Groin.
The trainer's been kept pretty active today. We were mentioning that Medvedev had slipped from his coach Brad Stein. We've no idea why, but I think you feel quite strongly that players from the old Eastern bloc, if I can put it that way, actually benefit from having Western coaches.
Yes, I do. I think particularly people who've had great experience in the game and who believe it's almost as if he's going through some oriental exercises here. Who believe that success comes on every surface. It seems to me sometimes that some of the Europeans have their eyes set on doing well, for instance, on clay, and nowhere else particularly. But I think it's very important these days to be efficient on all surfaces, particularly if you've got the game that's equipped to do well on those surfaces, because you can establish superiority over players by beating them, whether it's on clay, on grass, or on hard courts. And I think Medvedev could well do like Kafelnikov with somebody like that to push him along.
Serving now to stay in the opening set. In those dim and distant days when you were playing, what happened if you got an injury? Well, they weren't trainers with the tour in those days, were they?
You had a grin and bear it. How unprofessional we were. I remember once at Wimbledon having a slight strain and just being not naught about it.
Todd Snyder there with Ken Farrar in the middle, the chief supervisor for Grand Slams, and it was Peter Bellinger, the referee, on the right. And discussing what it was all about. And the fact that Chang didn't take an injury timeout might suggest that it was something he came onto court with. So another love game for Medvedev. And just let me go through the laws, as it were, about treatment. You can only get treatment if you suffer an injury during play. If you've got a pre-existing condition, like a pulled, slightly strained muscle from your previous match, you can't ask for an injury timeout for that. You have to get treatment during the 90-second changeovers. And equally, you're not allowed treatment for lack of a loss of natural condition, so that if you cramp, one of the most difficult ones is a blister, an injury, or another overall, having a whole stack of them, is a blister, an injury, or a loss of natural condition. And the definition is, if it starts to bleed, it's an injury. If it doesn't, it's loss of natural condition.
So take your razor blade onto the course with you. I was about to say that Chang had lost his ability to crack the odd ace, to serve 3 in the first 2 service games. All, but I think I'd have Medvedev just slightly ahead on points.
Well, that was wide as well, I think. But called good. Here comes Todd Snyder. Everyone's busy out there today. 6-5 first set. Andrei Medvedev for the second time, serving to stay in this opening set of the first of the men's quarterfinals.
Yes, I thought he might have gone in on the double-hander during this rally. He had the opportunity to whip it wide of Chang's double-hander, make the short man stretch.
Well, it's just about to say that Medvedev was going through a real run of holding serve very comfortably indeed. Three service games, he conceded just 1 point. Almost a shovel shot, doesn't it? Sometimes he sort of pushes, no real follow through, no real shoulder turn. Better. So the one break of serve for each man early on. Since then, games have gone with serve, and a tie break will decide this opening set.
Chang hasn't played a tiebreaker. Medvedev lost one and won one.
Desperately close.
1-0 Chang.
Sort of pleading look from Medvedev. I think Final did exactly the right thing in not overruling there. Far too close to call.
Not too sure about that call either, Medvedev.
What's going on here? Staring at each other.
Well, played into Chang's hands nicely. Notice how he comes in here, just waiting for the forehand volley. Good boy Scout.
And what a disastrous start to the tiebreak for Medvedev. His third double. And 2 points against the serve as Chang.
Chang.
Remember, Chang had three games still up, and Medvedev there just showing how effective he can be when he uses his weight and power.
Oh dear.
3-2 Chang.
Well, he's improved his volleying a lot, Chang, but this was a real sitter, shoulder high.
Yes, it was almost too bad a shot from Medvedev. No way you can anticipate those.
So just as in the set, Chang lost a 3-love lead, so he's lost one in the tiebreak. Changing ends after every 6 points. This was Medvedev coming to the better end in terms of serving, in terms of the sunshine.
Chang.
5 of the 7 points have gone against the serve. Ooh.
5-3 Chang.
Well, just holding his wrist there. That was a heavy fall. Feet just seemed to go from underneath him.
Yes, and it never strikes me that he has particularly good balance on the court, Medvedev, which I hope is not being unduly critical of him, and he seemed to slip just near the line. If a bit of moisture gets on the line sometimes, it can be even more slippery.
You can't believe someone was slow hand clapping. Feeling the wrist. And I have to tell you that once I broke both wrists on a fall on a tennis court, going back for a lob, tripped over myself or the line or something, and put my wrist down to stop myself and snapped them. So I do hope that hasn't happened to poor Medvedev. That would be an awful thing to have happened. I don't think that's... Oh, the left seems a little painful, and of course, double hand seems very painful. A double-hander, it's just an instinctive reaction, of course, to put your wrist down to stop the fall, and probably the worst thing you could do. But Snyder's having a busy match. And of course, when you're 6'4", it's a long way to go down. Here we go again.
It's right on the line.
Yeah.
Yes, and totally unanticipated, of course. Sometimes you feel them coming, and you can soften it. But he's some weight to go down.
Sometimes, of course, you're diving deliberately, and Boris Becker, and rather like a goalkeeper, you've learned how to fall and roll and absorb the fall. Well, that's looking a little better. Because I can remember someone trying to do that to me. The yell could be heard the other side of the hospital.
Well, if they were broken, I can imagine.
The right one doesn't seem so bad. So the question is, how is it going to affect his double-handed backhand? I suppose it could also affect the toss for the serve a little bit.
Could do.
With Snyder just getting him to hold the racket against some tension. It was a crucial stage. Just trying to think that that point was won by Chang, which makes it 5-3 in the tie-break. And important for Chang, I mean, fortunately it's a very warm day, so he won't be getting too cold. Oh yes, you saw there how his left hand went down and he absorbed the fall with his left wrist. Chang will have needed to keep his concentration.
Yes, good thing to run out here.
5-3, Chang.
Almost a good thing to hit a few serves whilst Medvedev was having treatment.
Well, I was interested that, he's still in a bit of pain. I mean, he played the first two backhands single-handed, and I thought, and then he obviously sort of said, well, I've got to find out whether I can hit it double-handed, and the last one he really did hit. He felt it a bit, but of course, by winning the point, we're now back on level terms in terms of points against the serve. It's 4-5.
First serve.
Well, deep applause both for the quality of the shot and also a fair modicum of sympathy. Releasing after hitting there.
6-5. Medvedev.
Ace number 4, and Andrei Medvedev has a set point here.
Chang's serve was very, very deep. It was in, but held my breath for a minute, and I'm sure he did.
Change ends again at 6-all. Medvedev still flexing that wrist. My word, we have had a whole host of overrules in this first set. Most of them, I think, fully justified. Not a lot of conviction on that volley.
No, understandably. But less conviction on the approach shot, and that was the problem.
7-6. Chang.
So having had a set point, Medvedev now faces a set point. Saves it with an ace. Chang having a long stare, but I think that was plumb on the line.
7-all.
Fifth ace. Did you make that first shot of Chang wide, Fred?
No, I thought it was in.
It's pretty close again. Now a second set point for Chang. The fundamental difference, of course, being this one's on his own serve. That's just long. Well, what an extraordinary set we've had, full of incident, full of drama. Trainer on for both players. And Chang comes from set point down to win it on the tie-break. We're just going to move a little way into this second set. Chang having won, of course, the first on the tie-break by 9 points to 7. And the American has an early break in the second set. And here he is to serve, leading by 2 games to 1 with the new set of tennis balls. Chang so worried about where that one was landing. A little hop, skip and a jump as he moved forward. He'll be very conscious. Watch him here. Oops, is he going to make it? It is. He'll be very conscious of the fact that he lost an early break in the first set.
He's a bit safer when playing that one cross-court, Medvedev. He can flap it a bit, but it is his forte off the ground.
Please don't hit it at me, mister.
14
Yes, and ironically, Chang's more likely to do it than Medvedev. Chang, more of a viper.
Game. Chang. Lead 3-1.
Nice, easy service game for Chang.
Yes, the viper I refer to, I suppose that's more of the killer instinct, because many of these players have the instinct, but quite a few like Chang have the application as well.
Love 15.
Here's the double fault. Just long. Meanwhile, Medvedev comes up with a thundering ace to rectify the situation.
Yes, we were talking earlier about coaches and how they should, the sort of advice they can give players. Now, seeing Medvedev serve like this is, I think, something that he ought to bear in mind more often when he goes out there. That he has got a serve which should be used as a weapon to really pummel the opposition with whenever possible. Too often he's just content to bowl it in. Well, return did it. Put Medvedev on his heels.
Seems to be hitting the backhand now with a lot more freedom. Andrei Medvedev maybe just jarred that left wrist in that nasty fall in the tiebreak, and one suspects the pain is easing every minute.
Yes, it certainly doesn't seem to be causing him too much discomfort. Still, just for my way of thinking, a little upright when he plays his backhand. Perhaps just lean into it a little bit more and catch it as he himself is moving forward a bit more energetically. I think he could learn from Kafelnikov, who has got tremendous footwork on that two-handed side, and of course so does Agassi. Chang too, because it's a matter really of getting the feet in position in order to make the timing that much easier, and the more timing you have, the more pace.
At this level, Fru, if Medvedev gets a new coach, he says he wants to be on his own for a little while. I mean, how much difference can they make to the actual stroke play? They can obviously advise on tactics, they can work on the mental side of the game, they can scout the opposition, but do they try and adjust strokes at all?
I think very slightly, and I don't think really, as you're implying, that many of them need much adjustments to be made. It's perhaps just rough edges which have to be smoothed.
Chang then with the lead of the set to love and a break in the second set, 3-2. Maybe he'd do a little better to come into the backhand.
30-14.
So a chance for Medvedev to recover, just as he did in the first set, from an early break of his serve.
against all.
Well, somebody was shouting, "Come on, Andrei," and he looked up at one stage as if to say, "Whence cometh my help?" And it did seem to do the trick.
3-all then, second set. First set, Chang on the tiebreak.
First serve. Love. Love. 14 love.
He's a good returner, Chang, but he's not in the Agassi class. On that backhand side, he can come over the ball just a little too soon and drag it into the net.
Found the line. Imitating the antics of the line judge, who was first pointing out and then put the palms down to indicate that it was good. 4-3, Medvedev. Second set. It's been a real seesaw encounter, this one. Chang off to a 3-love lead in the first set. Caught, set point down in the tiebreak, eventually won it. In this set, the American led 3-1. Now he's trailing 3-4.
Well, this is the way to handle the second serve. Medvedev doing well. Problem is, though, stringing them together. He doesn't always look to do it point in and point out. He sort of settles back into a restful frame of mind just a little too often.
Setting himself to have patience, feeling as if he's forcing the pace and making errors. We've had a whole host of tight calls, haven't we?
15-13.
Well, if it hit the line, it was the outside edge of it.
That's all you need, of course. Any part of the ball touches any part of the line, it's good.
30 all.
There was a while during last year, 94, when Chang was meddling around with his server, but tried a much shorter action, and it really fouled it up for a while.
13-14.
He's always looking for a way to improve his game, Michael Chang. Right now, though, he's got to concentrate on averting quite a crisis point for Medvedev to win a fourth successive game. That's too good, even for the quickest man on the courts. Medvedev will serve for one set all.
Medvedev leads 5-3.
Yes, too many first serves there from Chang. And even when he got them in, not in with a lot of authority. Medvedev wants to remember that.
Thank you. First serve. Love.
It's a little wild. Shots. The supreme counterpuncher.
15-13.
Well, there seemed a gaping hole, but Chang was already well on the move here. If Medvedev had just kept the corner of the eye on his man, he would have realized that and gone back.
Oh, it's wide.
15-14.
Just when the pendulum seemed to have swung firmly in Medvedev's favor, Chang bites back. Don't often see a smash off a smash. Chang has broken back, and once more fortunes fluctuate. Never knows when he's beaten, does he, through Michael Chang?
No, he's a real boomerang. Keeps coming back at you. Medvedev, they're really not getting in enough first serves. And as I was saying earlier, I think much of Medvedev's problem at some of these Grand Slam events, as talented a player as he is, and we know we've seen him win a championship series events in Monte Carlo and Hamburg, how well he can handle himself, but just needs to be a little more channeled in his vision as he goes up, for instance, as he did then to serve for the set, has to realize what a strength he's got in his serve, and has to concentrate on getting power and first serves in at power more often than he does. Just relies really on his ground strokes, and in pressureful situations that if you're up against someone like Chang, that isn't always going to work. Different if you haven't got a serve.
So Chang now serving to level off this second set, in which he led 3-1 and trailed 5-3, 4-5 now.
Love 15.
Not to know whether he intended that, Chang, but he made it bounce very short. As it turned out, it was a good thing because Medvedev had to lean forward into the shot. Well, understandably disconsolate. Testing the rebound ace with his racket bouncing.
Chang increasingly coming forward. And as you spotted earlier, whenever he gets Medvedev trapped in that backhand corner, he's always in position to play the forehand volley. The only way Medvedev might counter that is to try and hoist a lob.
Yes, the best way for Medvedev to counter it is just to commit more to the shot, instead of steering it down the middle of the court.
Typical Chang point and a typical Chang reaction to it, and he's level 5-all, second set.
Five games on.
Well, superb bit of sprinting here by Chang. I thought Medvedev had actually played a good enough shot to have won it. Probably ought to have covered the shot down the line here, because at that speed, Chang I don't think could have pulled it cross court.
Oh dear. Oof.
Love 15.
Well, he remembered the previous backhand where he just played it straight down the line. And as I said, he should watch Chang out of the corner of his eye. He's done that here, seen Chang move, and for some inexplicable reason gone for a big shot.
That's extraordinary. Total misjudgment.
Love 13.
I didn't think it was that good a lob.
Well, the most perfect shot in the circumstances. This really takes everything out of you. Not only breaks your back.
He certainly put his back into that serve.
15, 13.
A lot of extra venom. It comes speeding towards you. You've got less than a second to react. 78 feet, the length of the tennis court.
30 all.
It's a bit of a David and Goliath act, this.
I thought it was David and Froome myself, but I shouldn't be facetious.
People marvel at this, but of course the players have the strength to do that. Get the bounce on the ball. I thought it was wide.
Certainly no way an umpire can overrule on the centre service line. You just can't see it. Medvedev now in turmoil. What's Chang pacing around having a look at? Oh, double fault. Well, Medvedev put together a run of 4 games in the heart of this set. Now he's in danger of losing 3 in a row, including 2 service games in a row. The clenched fist from Michael Chang and the thrown racket from Andrei Medvedev, and he's getting a warning for that as well. 6-5 Chang. Just before we pick up the commentary once more of myself and Fru Macmillan, let me tell you that at 10 o'clock tonight Central European time, or 9 o'clock UK time, we'll be showing you extended highlights of the match between Jim Courier and Pete Sampras. A quite outstanding, brilliant match it was. Now back to the first of the quarterfinals. Chang serving for 2 sets to love, 6-5, and it's 15 love.
It's just dropped out.
Medvedev for the moment looking very dispirited. Three set points for Chang, and Medvedev really, just for the moment, has lost the heart for the battle, which is most unusual for him. Chang never loses the heart for battle. Two sets to love, 7-6, 7-5, and you're tempted to say, well, that really ought to be a decisive lead, but given what's happened yesterday, Krickstein against Edberg, day before, Sampras against Larsen, and Patrick McEnroe yesterday coming from 2 sets to love down and very nearly pulling it off against Jaakko Elting, losing a tight 5th set in the end. But Medvedev, with a new set of tennis balls, needs to find some new spirit as well.
15
Yes, and it's really up a gum tree when you're trying to come back against Chang, one feels.
15 all.
Also, Chang has had really a pretty peaceful ride to this stage, and he says that he himself feels very much at peace with himself.
13, 15.
That reflects not only his physical well-being, but also his mental well-being. Deeply religious.
Not really moving very well either, and that lethargy of the mind is often reflected in lethargy of the body.
Advantage, Medvedev.
See, Chang just got his hand out ready in between first and second serve. Medvedev just rushing things quite a bit, and early on in the match, Chang had to hold him up a few times.
Advantage, Chang.
I don't think I've ever seen quite so many really tight, close calls. Here's another one. What do you make of this? I think that was a good one. Second break point. And Chang, just as he did in the previous two sets, gets an early break. But the difference now is, does Medvedev have the stomach for the fight any longer? Is he going to be willing to battle his way back as he did in those first two sets?
Well, I think on the evidence of this replay alone, I would say no. Because just as he goes to play this, typical Medvedev, very upright, and you can see the quick reaction, keen to get to the change of ends. I think quickly becoming ultra dispirited here, and with no great appetite for the long chase back that a 2 sets to love deficit against Chang means. He had a long 5-setter, of course, against David Wheaton, whereas Chang has had a much more comfortable ride. And in talking about his matches leading up to this, Chang says that they haven't been too easy, but they haven't been too difficult. In fact, they've just about being right. And what he did say that I found very interesting was that he's been on the tour 8 years, and yet the first 4 matches he's played, he'd never played the players before, which seems strange. It was Kildare, Alamy, Dam and Delettre. Never met them before.
He's only played Medvedev once before, too. Chang, 1-love and 2 sets to love. And serving.
15 love.
Michael didn't come to the Australian Open last year. Opted to have some extra time with his family over Christmas. Signs that Medvedev is back down to business.
Lovely contrast in power here. Slice. And that seemed to give it away to Chang. He put a lot into this, but Medvedev, without apparent effort, generated huge speed. Probably not a bad thing to anticipate that Chang is going to be running helter-skelter.
Yeah, it's a bit like a striker taking a penalty, isn't it? Hit it straight at the goalkeeper because he's bound to move one way or t'other. And the outside edge yet again.
Advantage Chang.
I suppose one of the reasons we've had so many tight calls on the sidelines is that both of them are using angles.
Game Chang. He leads 2-love.
Well, you're tempted to say that he's well on his way, but we know what's happened in the other sets, except that this is now love 2 in sets for Medvedev. Can't imagine he's got the passion. Notwithstanding the P on his racket.
And I think also he's now facing an opponent who's sensing victory. And to continue the Viper theme that we were calling Chang, I think he's now going for the jugular.
Love 13. Love 40.
He's recovered from one breakdown in each of the two previous sets. To recover from 2 down, well, that's nigh on impossible. Chang is on his way now, surely. 2 sets to love and 3 love with 2 breaks. And it really will be amazing if Medvedev can come back from here. Michael Chang now coming back, eager. He looks fresh. Andrei Medvedev looks, well, done in, I suppose would be the phrase. Chang, 2 sets to love, 2 breaks, 3 love in the 3rd set, on his way surely to the semi-finals. Look at him. He's like a cat that smelt the cream, and he can't wait to get at it. Or maybe he's seen the little mouse and is chasing after it. Tom and Jerry. Certainly like a child with a new toy. I suppose the one danger is that he gets sort of carried away with it all. Potter, the former American player who Fru and I have both had the pleasure of commentating with the various organisations. He's a great one for body language, and my word, the body language of these two is so contrasting at the moment.
Well, the score, of course, could have been so different. Medvedev set point in the first, 5-3 in the second, and yet here he is, way down in the bottom of the hole. Now, I fancy if this were Hamburg in May, or you could look out from Monte Carlo and see the Mediterranean in April or early May, he might have the stomach for it. But it's hot here in Melbourne today, very hot.
And again, Chang having to hold him up. Medvedev doing an Ivanisevic. He plays faster and faster and faster, the worse his fortunes get. I think at the moment Medvedev would happily clasp the Viper to his bosom and say, "Put me out of my misery."
Well, that's the what I was talking about just now, about not only killer instinct but killer application. Something which that other great American, Agassi seems to have learned.
Yes, and the man, Brad Gilbert, who's entitled Winning Ugly. He knew how to win. It's lovely to watch Chang there, bouncing along like this. He's really loving it out there. He'll try, he'll try.
Well, it's occasionally very satisfying for the opponent to see the bus leaving the stop without Chang. He normally somehow just manages to hang on.
Game, Chang.
5-love. Well, shame Medvedev's challenge should peter out like this. Played so well for 2 sets, and as Fru was saying, could so easily have been 2 sets to love up instead of 2 sets to love down. Let's look forward, if we may, then, Fru. I mean, I really will eat that gentleman's hat if Medvedev now wins this match. Can Chang beat Courier or Sampras and make it to the final?
Well, I think he can, but I think both are more difficult tasks than this. The form that Courier's been in, I think, is very impressive. To me, he seems to have a lovely body tone. If he were in the paddock, you'd give him the prize for the best turned out. And Sampras, providing Sampras serves well, I think Chang has a lot of problems against that sort of pace. So it's an unenviable task. At the same time, who wouldn't mind getting through to the semis and just chancing your arm? Who knows, it could be excessively hot. Chang may hit a purple streak.
Now he has to apply the coup de grace, serving for the match at 5-love.
Love 15.
Well, it happens, of course, total relaxation because he's so far down. And Chang, in his exhilaration, just too keen to get it over with too quickly, hitting a little short. Chang really relaxed, having been in trouble in the first 2 sets. Like a visit to the dentist, and he's having told you there's actually nothing wrong with you. You go out feeling so relieved and celebrate.
Thank you for reminding me, Fru. I've got an appointment with the dentist the week after the Open. Medvedev, meanwhile, has 2 break-back points. Well, you'd still be 2 breaks behind.
13-14. Chang leads 5-1.
Well, a good feeling, I'm sure, for Medvedev to put a couple past Chang here, or one at least. And you can see him always glorying in it.
And at least a little bit of respectability to the scoreline in this third set. Careful. I'm going to run into the post.
15 love.
I always remember, I'm sure you do, through Roy Emerson at Wimbledon, wasn't he? #1 seed, ran for the ball a bit too hard, couldn't stop, ran himself into the post, out of the tournament, end of subject.
Love.
Still pretty slow on his pins, though, Medvedev. And now Chang's within 2 points of victory. Well, extraordinary. Medvedev thought his shot was going long and virtually turned around to collect the ball for the next point from the ball boy and suddenly realised it was good. And Medvedev has game point.
Game, Medvedev.
And Chang's going to have to serve for the match for a second time. Medvedev making the American work a little longer. 5-2, third set. Michael Chang about to serve for a second time for a place in the semi-finals of the Australian Open for the first time. 5-2, third set, 2 sets to love.
Love 15.
Well, we've seen some great tennis. Some extraordinary events as well. High drama at times.
15 all.
He's really quick to get around this, keeping his eye on the ball for most of his journey.
Thirteen, 15.
Going very wide there for the serve to open up the angle. Now coming back into the centre mark.
30 all.
Yes, it's a ploy that Agassi used to use a lot, particularly on the slow courts. Standing wide, serving from the left court, the backhand court.
First serve.
Oh, curiouser and curiouser this match. Don't tell me Medvedev's going to break back again. Still, Chang would have one more chance to serve for the match, but it was beginning to get a little tight. A little bounce in the step has gone now. For Chang, he's back down to serious business. And Medvedev has broken him again.
Chang leads 5-3.
Well, I wouldn't have believed it. As we know, he can't just serve his opponents away, but he hasn't been serving badly. Medvedev still playing relaxed with power. I thought he was buried.
Love 5 to 3-5.
Love 15.
I suppose the one negative now is that Medvedev's beginning to get down to serious business again. He may not be quite so relaxed. Beginning to think he might claw his way back into this third set.
Love 13.
Might have made it with an old-fashioned racket, but these modern jobs really catapult the ball.
Oh no, that is not the right choice of shot, and certainly not the right execution. And so at last Chang reaches match point. I think saying a prayer quite literally there. 3 match points to the number 5 seed. That's wide, and Chang has made it. Curious match in many ways. 7-6, 7-5, and 6-3. Let's get a comment from Frew McMillan.
Yes, one of those matches which really seems a little unfair. Not that because Medvedev's so much bigger than Chang, just the fact that Medvedev in his previous round, a long battle to get here. Chang's had it easy. Medvedev has set point. Medvedev serves in the second set. Medvedev has a terrible fall, and yet none of it goes well for him. Certainly a heavy day for Medvedev, a tiring day for Chang. But I think Chang really playing slightly more adventurous tennis, and Medvedev not taking his opportunities, a deserved winner.
Well, that was Frew McMillan with me at the start of the day. We now know that Michael Chang will play in the semi-finals Pete Sampras, who in an amazing, outstanding, brilliant match came from 2 sets to love down and from being in tears at one stage with the emotion of it all to beat Jim Courier in 5 sets. And there, confirmation of that win for Sampras.